Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Kini News. PKR President Anwar Ibrahim has said that the issue of approaching Bersatu chairperson Dr Mahathir Mohamad was not discussed during a Pakatan Harapan meeting this evening. PKR President Anwar Ibrahim had a meeting with Harapan leaders at the Eastin Hotel in Petaling Jaya today. When asked by reporters, Anwar said that the issue of approaching Bersatu chairperson Dr Mahathir Mohamad was not discussed. However, he indicated that Harapan's ties with Bersatu are fluid. Quote, "We can change by the day," end quote, is what he said when he was asked if Harapan would accept Bersatu again if there was a request. Previously, Anwar had referred to Bersatu as, quote, "former friends" after a coup attempt on Sunday. On Monday, Mahathir had resigned as the Prime Minister after his party, together with rogue MPs from PKR, Barisan Nasional, PAS, Warisan and the GPS, had tried to form a new coalition to replace the Harapan government. Mahathir also resigned as Bersatu chairperson after his party president Muhyiddin Yassin took the party out of Harapan. On the other side of town, UMNO leaders also gathered for a meeting, and this is what they had to say.
Can also be a PM candidate, and he is more lenient towards the opposition members compared to him. Dia tak boleh terima ahli UMNO, but he claims Country Union is more lenient. So perhaps we can work that way. Would PAS and UMNO accept Country Union?
No problem. I feel entitled to his own opinion. We respect that. But as far as we are concerned, there is no comment with regards to the current arrangement, because we must respect the due process that is now still taking place. As far as UMNO is concerned, we still have to wait for official decision made by the palace.
Despite the political situation in Putrajaya, Interim Prime Minister Dr Mahathir Mohamad has announced a 20 billion ringgit economic stimulus package to mitigate the economic risks brought by the COVID-19 outbreak. Interim Prime Minister Dr Mahathir Mohamad has announced a 20 billion ringgit economic stimulus package to ensure that any economic risks associated with the COVID-19 outbreak is addressed. In a press conference this evening, he said that the package would be anchored on 3 strategies, which were to mitigate the impact of COVID-19, spurring people-based economic growth and promoting quality investments. In the announcement, Mahathir unveiled several measures including cash aid and incentives to help the country cushion economic uncertainties. This included a 600 ringgit one-off payment to taxi drivers, tourist bus drivers and tourist guides. There is also a 400 ringgit special monthly critical allowance for doctors and medical personnel directly involved in containing COVID-19. The Bantuan Sara Hidup payment for May 2020 will also be moved forward to March 2020, and an additional 100 ringgit will be paid to BSH recipients in May 2020 on top of an additional 50 ringgit in the form of an e-wallet deposit. Employee Provident Fund or EPF contributors are also allowed to reduce minimum contribution by 4% from April until December 31st. The economic stimulus also includes tax breaks and the rescheduling of loans for companies affected by the virus outbreak. He said state-linked companies and public agencies will also accelerate planned investment projects for 2020. According to his party, Dr Mahathir has agreed that he will return to his post as the chairperson of Bersatu. Dr Mahathir Mohamad is set to return as Bersatu chairperson after quitting the post on Monday, according to a Bernama report. The news agency quoted Bersatu Secretary General Marzuki Yahya as confirming this. According to Bernama, Marzuki had confirmed this in a message on WhatsApp when asked whether it was true that Mahathir has returned as Bersatu chairperson. The Bersatu Supreme Council in a meeting on Monday said that they had rejected Mahathir's resignation as the party chairperson. They also resolved to fully support Mahathir as Prime Minister. Yesterday, Mahathir in his speech said he was upset with Bersatu because it was willing to work with UMNO, and this is the reason he resigned. Now we take a look at the situation in the state of Kedah, where there will be no change in the individuals that are in the state government despite the current situation in the federal corridors of power. It's same but different.
Kedah Menteri Besar Mukris Mahathir will remain in his post as he has obtained the support of Pakatan Harapan. However, it is not a unity government as envisioned by Prime Minister Dr Mahathir Mohamad.
Kita ni masih yang sama sebenarnya. Cuma bezanya kalau dulu nama PH, sekarang ni PH plus Bersatu, itu saja. Tapi orang dia sama, adun dia pun sama. Sama-sama.
He says he had an audience with the Kedah ruler today and the Sultan accepted 18 support letters that he submitted.
Meanwhile, over in Johor, the palace has declared that a new coalition is in charge after the Sultan met 54 state assembly persons to determine who has the most support. The Johor palace has declared that a new coalition has the support of a majority of members of the state assembly. In a statement, the palace confirmed that Menteri Besar Dr Shaharuddin Jamal of Bersatu and Johor UMNO head Hasni Mohamad had met with the Sultan yesterday to inform him of a new coalition. The palace said that the Sultan had sought the views of individual state assembly persons to find out who they would give their backing to. After interviewing 54 out of 56 assembly persons yesterday, His Majesty Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar was, quote, satisfied that the new coalition had a simple majority to form the government. 28 supported the new coalition, whereas 26 backed the Pakatan Harapan government. 2 assembly persons could not attend. These were Amanah Deputy President Salahuddin Ayub and Johor Bersatu Chief Mazlan Bujang. The palace said that the new coalition has the right to nominate a Menteri Besar before the new state cabinet is appointed. Still to come, violence in India over a controversial citizenship law continues to rage on, even as US President Donald Trump was on a state visit. 5 are dead following a shooting in front of a brewery in the United States. Saudi Arabia takes a major step to keep COVID-19 out of its kingdom as it is now spreading faster outside of China. But what does this mean for those who have plans for a pilgrimage to the holy city? Find out after the break. United States President Donald Trump was in India recently on a state visit where he was hosted by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. However, while the fanfare was focused on that state visit, the situation in parts of northeast Delhi was much darker.
India's capital is hit with the worst religious violence in decades as the death toll has risen to at least 30. The violence was triggered after Muslims protesting against India's citizenship law were attacked. Over 200 people have been injured during 4 days of violence in Muslim-populated areas of northeast Delhi. Police were accused of looking the other way as Hindu nationalist mob went on the rampage, killing people and damaging mosques. Delhi's Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal called on Wednesday for the army to be deployed and for a curfew to be imposed in the northeastern districts. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who hosted US President Donald Trump as the violence continued, has been criticized for not acting on time. However, Modi breaks his silence on Wednesday by issuing an appeal for calm and urging people to maintain peace at all times.
The spread of the COVID-19 coronavirus has begun to accelerate as the World Health Organization shared some shocking statistics about the cases outside of China.
More coronavirus cases are now being reported outside of China than inside, according to the World Health Organization. 2 countries in particular, Italy and Iran, are seeing more cases than their own outbreak, spreading to neighbours. The rise in Italy, the epicenter in Europe, has now reached around 400 cases and at least 12 people have died there. Several European countries have announced new cases which can be traced to Italy. While Iran has reported only 139 cases, health experts say the death rate suggests that the true number of cases must be many times higher. Asia has reported hundreds of new cases, and Latin America's first infection was confirmed in Brazil. The disease was also detected for the first time in Pakistan, Sweden, Norway, Greece, Romania and Algeria. In Japan, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe called for sports and cultural events to be scrapped or postponed for 2 weeks as concern mounted for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. However, WHO Chief Tedros Ghebreyesus advised diplomats in Geneva on Wednesday against speaking of a pandemic. He said using the word pandemic carelessly will have significant risks in terms of amplifying unnecessary fear and stigma, as well as paralyzing systems.
Now, one of the countries taking proactive action to keep COVID-19 outside of its walls is Saudi Arabia, with their announcement that they have temporarily suspended the entrance of pilgrims.
Saudi Arabia has temporarily suspended the entrance of pilgrims for Umrah activity and visiting the Prophet's mosque. According to its foreign ministry yesterday, the proactive measure is to prevent the arrival of COVID-19 to the kingdom. The kingdom is also temporarily suspending entrance for those coming with tourist visas from countries with confirmed coronavirus outbreaks. Exceptions will be allowed for Saudi nationals and citizens of Gulf Cooperation Council who left Saudi Arabia by using their national identity cards. Saudi Arabia stressed that all these measures are temporary and is subject to continuous evaluation by the relevant authorities. The kingdom renewed its support for all international measures to limit the spread of the virus and urged its citizens to exercise caution before travelling to countries experiencing the outbreak.
A shooting took place at Milwaukee in the United States on Wednesday, where 5 people were killed.
A gunman opened fire at the Molson Coors beverage complex in Milwaukee on Wednesday, killing 5 employees. Police later said the suspect was later found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Officers located the suspect, a 51-year-old Milwaukee man, deceased from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. At this time, we have located 5 additional deceased adult victims.
Details about the circumstances of the shooting, including what may have led to it, were not provided by authorities.
Now, before we go, here are some other headlines from today. And that's all we have time for today, ladies and gentlemen. For more stories, the place to go is KiniTV.com. Don't forget that you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Twitter for the latest news updates. I'm Daniel Anthony. Thank you for watching. But before we go, we leave you with some visuals of robots being used in China to overcome challenges amidst the coronavirus epidemic.